We can also start to cut your body into sections. We often refer to planes, how we kind of slice them. So when we talk about those particular body sections, we focus on 3 specific planes. We talk about the sagittal plane, and I really think that, yes, it's a vertical plane, so it's in top to bottom, up, down plane. Yes, it splits lengthwise, but I really think that this one is the key. That what you're actually doing is you're splitting the right and the left side in a sagittal plane. All right, so you're really kind of like taking it straight down the middle of your body and splitting your right half from your left half. That would be a mid-sagittal plane, straight down the middle, right, equal size. Versus parasagittal, that would be like if you sliced from above your shoulder, right? So again, bad drawing, sorry, right? If we're looking at a body, right? Parasagittal would be dividing this way, whereas mid-sagittal would have been straight down the middle. Sorry, it's a little off center, but all right, sagittal is really talking about a slice that cuts in half. Then we have transverse, all right? Transverse, which is horizontal, all right? This creates superior and inferior. I guess this kind of creates a cross-section. So the idea that here's your bad human body, Ross. All right? When you make a transverse plane, you're cutting horizontally, right? And then coronal, right, is what I was talking about. Why I made reference to, yeah, vertical plane, up and down. Because a coronal plane, often called a frontal plane, is going to be a plane that's vertical, but this is going to be something that splits anterior, right, which was front, compared to posterior, which is back. All right, so this kind of gives you a really good drawing, this, or a diagram. This shows you the image that would occur as a result of these different planes. And this shows you that a sagittal plane, like I said, you can split right and left versus transverse, top and bottom. And then you have that frontal plane, right? That coronal plane, which is going to split the front from the back. This drawing really does a nice job of demonstrating, right, that here we have that transverse plane that's, you know, splitting top from bottom, versus we have here that coronal or frontal plane that's splitting front to back, and then at the same time we have this diagram, or this plane, that's splitting right to left, right? So hopefully this kind of helps you guys visualize it. As a result of making these planes or creating these planes, oftentimes you kind of get sections. So you can have a cross section, right, which typically, all right, we're pretty familiar with. The cross section allows you to kind of like look straight down into something. All right, you had a picture before when we were talking about the different membranes, and when I referred to the membranes of the thoracic cavity, I was showing you a diagram of the pleural membrane and the pericardial membrane, and showing you how those are specifically wrapping around the different structures, just like I showed you in the abdominal pelvic cavity, and those were both cross sections that you looked at. Oblique is going to be that angled cut, and then you have longitudinal, which is lengthwise, long. right? Longitudinal, long ways. In addition, we also have specific terms that we need to start to get used to using. So the idea is no longer using everyday terms when we refer to anatomical parts of the body. It's really about using those correct anatomy terms. So no longer using the word arm, but instead saying brachial. All right. The idea of no longer saying chest, saying pectoral. All right. No longer saying eyes, orbital. All right. And so on and so on. So it's really important for you guys to kind of start learning these terms, getting familiar with these terms, and practicing using these terms. I would highly suggest perhaps making yourself some flashcards and remembering what each of these are. You never know when it's going to pop up on a test. In addition, we can also divide the human body up into regions and talk about regions of the body and specific terms of the body with regions. This kind of is a bit more about body organization, I guess, but it's not really about our cavities and our membranes and such. It's really about just kind of dividing up the body and looking at it in quadrants or something along those lines. So you can see here that we really just create, as you can see, a grid, right? The grid right across the body, and kind of label all of the different portions of the grid. So the right hypochondriac region versus the left hypochondriac region versus the epigastric region versus the umbilical region. Umbilical, we're talking like belly button region. Hypogastric region. Hypo meaning below, right? So it's kind of a matter of iliac. We're referring to specific location on the hip bone, all right? It's all kind of relative to where it is on the body. However, at the same time, others may refer to the human body in reference to specifically quadrants. So instead of using 9 regions, it's specifically going to talk about a right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, right lower quadrant, left lower quadrant, and really just be talking about in specific quadrants of the body. This is another way to refer to a specific location of something for medical professionals. This pretty much wraps it up for our lesson on anatomical terminology and an anatomical position. If you have any questions, please feel free to see me.